Hello and welcome back to the wild. So yes, hello and welcome back to the wild. It's going to be the partial wild in this review because my rebellious ankle, this one, decided to challenge some steps to a duel and it lost miserably and now I cannot walk properly. So I'll be bringing some to review from the outside and some of it from my studio Casa Wild because I cannot stand for too long. So today's review is all about the Fujifilm X-H2S, la la la, this beauty of a camera body right here, which I've had the pleasure of using for the last 3 weeks over the Christmas period and the winter months, and it has been amazing. It's spurred so much creativity in me in those dark months. So I've got so much to tell you, so much to share with you, so much to show you, and some bonus stuff to mention at the end, which I'll save for later. And just a reminder, this isn't a technical review. There is plenty of fantastic technical reviews out there. This is not one of those. This is a user experience of my experience of using this camera body for the last 3 weeks, how I got on with it in terms of photography and filming, how it performed, my experience, and what I thought at the end of it. That's what this is about. So without further ado, let's crack on with this review. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is first impressions. It's always good to talk about first impressions. And for me, it was, ooh, this is nice. It was solid. The X-H2S is solid. It's sturdy. It felt good quality. But there was one big thing I really missed. And now I've been shooting with the X-T3 for about 3.5 years. I am quite a quick photographer in that I always shoot manually. Shoot through here, I change everything because I know where it all is. I was so familiar where everything was. So then when I held the X-H2S, as you can see, the dials aren't there. And I was like, no, where are the dials? And I really missed it. But after 2 or 3 days, I got used to its setup. I got used to the camera, and this is really important. Just give your equipment a bit of time. And after that, we were flying together. We were flying in the clouds. It was great. So yeah, let's get on. Let's talk about what magic happened to make us fly. And yeah, I'll tell you about it. Okay, so this leads me on to my next point, which is image quality. And I have to say, and this is why I've never felt the need to swap or detour from the wonderful Fujifilm, because I adore the finish you get from a Fuji image straight out. And I've found when I import my images into Lightroom or Capture One, they're just beautiful to begin with. I've got friends who shoot with Fujifilm, they've sent me images, and I'm just like, they are fantastic just as they are. And I think if you want to spend less time sitting editing and just enjoying the photography, Fuji has done something beautiful with that. I don't like to edit, I like to be outside enjoying the world. I don't like to touch my images. So that's reason number one. But two, the world is beautiful. I don't want to change the world. I don't want to add mountains or add sunlight that wasn't there. I want to capture what I saw because something moved me in a moment, and that's what I want to show in my images. And I find Fuji does that. I can move an image into Lightroom and be like, I don't really need to change that. Nice, winner, happy with that. And that's image quality to me. And they've done a fantastic job with their color science, their softness, the finesse, especially with their primes. I adore the Fuji primes, but how it works together in unison with the X-H2S, I am chuffed with. And this is really important because I wanted to get a camera that wasn't just great at filming, I wanted to use it for photography because I can't afford to have two cameras. And even in terms of editing, if you do want to, when I drew them into Lightroom, I made one little tweak and it changed so much. And I think there is so much data, it must be the stack sensor, I guess, but there's so much data in one image. And linking to this as well, its low light photography and filming capabilities have been fantastic. I don't know how and why that is the reason, don't ask me, I just know and noticed it, that it performs brilliant at low light, which is fantastic. So yeah, image quality in terms of if you're looking for a camera where you can just take pictures and on the get-go and you don't have to edit, Fuji is where it's at. I found this with my X-T3 and I found it with this camera and the X-T3 Mark II, which I also reviewed. They are all fantastic at just capturing a beautiful picture. So yeah, top marks for that Fuji, well done. Okay, so let's talk about build quality. So as you can see, the X-H2S was built with longevity in mind. It is solid. It is sturdy, it's robust, it is well built. And that was one of my first impressions about it. I was like, oh, I can chuck that in my bag and not necessarily worry about it. So the X-H2S comes in at 673 grams. So it's not too heavy in hand, but it's enough. Sun's just come up. It's enough to have balance when you've got a telephoto lens on. In terms of comfort, it's got a nice, good size grip here, as you can see. This means it's sturdy and comfortable fit in your hand. There's a natural position to reach all of the function buttons and all the other buttons you need to get to. I don't feel like I'm overreaching for anything. The one thing I have noticed about the build, and this might be because I'm chucking it in my camera bag, is that some of the paintwork on the outside, if you can see, has got a little bit scuffed around the edges. But this camera has been through a lot, which I would talk more at the end. So to be fair to it, that might not happen normally. It's just been through a very extreme and well-used time. You've also got weather sealing, which is amazing. You want a camera that is weather sealed. And I've been out in many conditions with this camera, in the snow, in the rain, in the heat, hint, hint, and it's held up amazingly in all of these conditions. It's done fantastic. There's been no issue to the camera itself or anything like that. Overall, yeah, I'm super happy with the quality of build with the X-H2S. It's sturdy, you get value for money, and I don't feel like it's gonna break if I just like tickled it. So it's good. It's strong, and that's what you want from your camera. So it's all good. Okay, so the next point I wanted to touch upon, because it's a very important one, is the focusing. So the X-H2S, as I've said about 5,000 times already on this review, was Fujifilm's first camera with advanced object recognition. You can do tracking of birds, planes, trains, cars, pets, whatever. If you're doing wildlife stuff and you really want to make sure it gets a bird or an eye of an animal, it does recognize it very well. I had some teething problems to begin with. I found when I was in a dark lit area and shadows or high contrasted areas or light behind, whatever, it struggled to recognize where I was asking it to focus, like waver from where it was, which was a little bit annoying. And it also heavily varied on the type of lens I was using. So I found the longer focal lengths, I was getting some issues, but I have tested this further in brighter conditions with my 100-400mm, which I'll talk more at the end, and it did brilliant, to be fair. So I think it's just a matter of some conditions is where its limitations are at, which is fine. I don't particularly want to shoot wildlife photography in the dark, so it's fine, it's not a problem. And if you've got multiple animals as well, it didn't know which one to focus on. Actually, as you imagine, that would be natural. So in that situation, I turn off the animal tracking and I just put the continuous focus on. And again, it performed brilliantly on the continuous because you can fine tune it. You can say if you want to be faster or slower, you can do whatever. So yeah, but saying that, it did so good with its animal eye tracking that when my dog was walking away with his tail waving in the air and his little bum on show, the camera was tracking his butt. So it thought his butt was an actual eye. So I've got some very well-focused images of my dog's butt. And linking to this, the reason why I was really chuffed with it is with the human eye focus. So if you're thinking of doing any vlogging like I'm doing right now, you could set up the X-H2S, get it to track your eye, and you can use it for vlogging, and it will follow you like it would do like a camera doing right now. I do self-portrait filming and photography. It's all self-portrait, my work. This was a game changer for me because it saved so much time. I could set the camera up, get it rolling, and it would follow me everywhere. It'd follow me to the moon and back. It was like, yeah, I'm following you, Victoria. And I was like, oh yeah. So yeah, that was a massive point for me and a massive brownie point win for the X-H2S because it changed how I did everything, which is fantastic. Okay, so the next points I wanted to discuss are about ergonomics and ease of use. Why? Why is this important? Because it is. Okay, so the first point is interface. So the interface on the X-H2S is the same as the X series or the other camera bodies like the X-T3 or the Mark II and the X-T3, 4, 5, blah, 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 blah. So it makes an ease of transition if you're looking at moving between these cameras, and you can pick it up quite quickly. So you can transition nice and easily. Interface is great on the Fuji system. It's great on the X-H2S. Simple, effective, to the point. How I like it. Okay, so the next point I want to talk about is buttons, because we all love buttons, not chocolate buttons. I want about camera buttons. Now, as I've mentioned already, the button and dial setup from the X-T3, as you can see, this is my camera, so I keep referring to it, and the X-H2S are very different. And this is something I missed when I first got the X-H2S, because the X-T3 has got your ISO and your shutter speed on the top, which it doesn't have on the X-H2S. But that being said, you can customize everything on the X-H2S to fit your needs and style of photography. You have your custom button where you can do 1 to 7 different presets for photography and for filming, which I have. I've got my control 1 is my photography and my control 2 is my filming. And this isn't just automatic. This is you setting up your basic lines. This is like if you want to shoot in 4K or slow motion, you can flick to it and then good to go, then you can manually adjust it afterwards. And this is particularly brilliant if you're doing wildlife photography and you want to bounce between filming or shooting stills. You can do the both at the same time by looking through it. I could be like, oh, quickly go to filming, get that little bear, go back to photography, and you're good to go. And I really love that, and it's changed my photography completely, and I'm not missing a shot, which is important if you're doing especially wildlife stuff. You don't want to miss that beautiful moment of something doing something. So the custom buttons have been fantastic. Not just this custom button here, but the whole function buttons and your D-pad and all these personalizations on the back. You can personalize it all. And I have everything adjusted, my ISO, my shutter speed, all this to where I need it to be. The function buttons and the customizable buttons have made up for the missing dials for me. And it's been fantastic. And this camera now is suited completely to my mind and how I shoot and my rhythm, which is brilliant. So you've got a 3-inch LCD screen on the back here, which you can face towards you. You can flip it around, turn it away from you. And this is really great because if you want to do vlogging, or in my case, self-portrait photography, which I do a hell of a lot of, I can turn this around and I can face it towards me and I can see myself and I can see if I'm in the right area and roughly what I'm doing. And again, if you want to do it for vlogging, you can look with it on there because this would be a great camera to vlog with. And you've got this little screen here on the top, just there. And what this does is, once you have the camera turned on, it shows you your settings and it shows you how much battery life you have, your white balance, your frame rate, all these different things. Personally, for me, I don't really use this a lot and it's quite redundant because I don't shoot looking at this. So for me, I prefer a dial there. It doesn't really work for me, which is fine. It's good and it is handy. It does illuminate as well if you want to turn it on, but I just don't really use it. Okay, so the next point is just some extra features. You've got your side doors here for your mic, HDMI, USB-C, and anything else I've missed off on this side. And on the other side, you also have the section for your SD cards and your CF Express card, and then your tripod mount on the bottom and battery compartment. This isn't necessarily linked to the ergonomics or the ease of use of the camera, but it's just something to bear in mind. You don't have 2 SD card slots in here. You have an SD card and a CF Express. So if you want to use the dual memory card system, you have to have one CF Express and one SD card. And then you need a CF Express card reader as well. So you're looking at a few £100 just for those 2 items alone. And then with your batteries, you get 1 battery with the camera, and then additional batteries are about £50 each as well. So that's another thing to bear in mind. There's a few little bits of extra costs when you're purchasing the camera itself. But once you have them, but it's just to bear in mind, you will need to get them, that's all. That is the overall ergonomics and ease of use of the X-H2S. It's very good to use, it's comfortable in the hand, it's logical when you're shooting with it. You've got the ability to customize everything, which actually won me over, because to begin with I was sad. I didn't have the dials, but the customization actually has sped up my photography and filming, and actually it works perfectly for a camera that does both. It's actually enhanced how I do my photography, so all good. Okay, so the next point I wanted to discuss was filming. And I was so excited to try filming with the X-H2S. Where is it? It's here. With the X-H2S, that was my main thing I was really excited for. I really enjoy filming. It's something I've been getting into recently. I've been using my X-T3 for a very long time, but I felt a little bit stagnant with it. I do a lot of self-portrait filming, and having the really good autofocus, especially the subject tracking, where you can fine tune that tracking to your own personal taste. You can have like obviously it going focusing quicker or slower, or you can track whatever, and I could adjust that and fine tune that to me, because I do self-portrait work, and the video footage I'm going to show you in a minute was all self-portrait. Some of it handheld, some of it on the tripod, mainly on the tripod. I shot in 4K at 120 frames per second. I think it's like 5 times slower at 24p whatever, and it brought out some different creativity in me. It brought out and spurred a lot more in me. It really just aided my photography a lot more, and it was just so much easier. So it added a lot of ease to my photography and what I do, which was brilliant, which I really enjoyed. So in terms of imagery, it picked up colors, textures, sharpness beautifully. I was really impressed with the filming, like super duper impressed. I was like, oh, that was what I was wanting. I wanted a bit of a punch to the filming to see a difference, and I noticed a massive difference. I didn't get any slowing down with the filming. It wasn't jittery or lagging behind, that's the word. I didn't have anything, like, because sometimes I think SD cards can just like crash because it's just too much on them. I didn't have any of that. It just kept up really well with the CF Express card, and I have my settings to save it onto that. So yeah, in terms of ease of use and quality of filming, I really thought it was fantastic. Here's what I got with it anyway, and see what you think. From an amateur's perspective and someone who wants to learn more, I'm really excited to learn more with the X-H2S and about filming in general, because it's really spurred on something different in me. So I feel like I've just scratched the surface, and you can see actually the potential's there if you want to really go full throttle with some big filming, because I think you can achieve it very well with the X-H2S, was what I found anyway. I thought the quality was there and you can do a lot with it. How you doing down there, bud? What you looking at? Can I stand with you? What you looking at? Show me. I don't know, can't see anything. And now for the plot twist you've all been waiting for, because I've been so mean and kept it right to the end. So after testing out this camera body for Fujifilm over the last 3 weeks, I decided to take the leap and buy it myself. So this is actually my camera. So that's the plot twist. And it was a massive decision for me because I don't buy new stuff regularly. I think the last camera I got was the X-T3, and I bought that over 3 years ago. So yeah, it was a massive decision for me. But I took the plunge because I was going on a trip to East Africa to go for wildlife photography in Tanzania, Uganda and Kenya. And I didn't want to leave without this camera body because I love the filming, I love the quality of the images. I could do 2 in 1. I was just like, I gotta get it. I will be gutted and I will just know I will regret it if I don't buy it and take it with me. So that's what I did. I took the plunge, got the camera and I was so happy. So off the back of this, coming up soon, I will do a review of my experience of using this for wildlife photography in Africa, for filming and photography. And yeah, I cannot wait to show you what I was up to, what I got up to, the pictures I got, and just explain my experience with it and how it performed, because it did so well, really well, and I'm excited to show you all about it. Finally, this leads me back to the X-H2S. This really is a camera body for those people who want to spend less time editing and just want something good straight away, good quality images, and can just go out, get something, come back and just not have to worry so much about editing. It's been fantastic. The quality is great, the customization is great, and the overall experience with this camera has been fantastic. And so much so I bought it myself, which doesn't happen regularly. So I hope that speaks highly of it in itself, in its own right, because it has been great. And I think Fujifilm have done something very special to keep you hooked to their equipment. And for me, it's just the quality and the color and just the vibe you get from their equipment and images. I love it, and I don't want to change that. I really do love it. That comes from a genuine place. I love their stuff. And this is no exception. It's been great. So anyway, to conclude, I hope you've enjoyed this review. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. Just drop it below and I will happily reply. Thank you again for watching. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. Anyway, stay you, stay awesome, stay wild. I can't move too much because of my leg. My foot, I should say. Anyway, stay free. And until next time, you amazing people, goodbye for now. Bye. Can't do much because I got one leg. Yes. Yes. There's loads of different. Yes, Eric. Yes. Wild. I have to hobble off because I got an injury. Why are you standing up? You the real Slim Shady? Eric. Eric. Buttons. Have a kiss. To the paw? Get in there, Eric. We'll get there. What? What did I do? You can lie down still. I'm not in the way. Testing. Can I have a book? Oh, testing. It's cold and I'm on one leg. With crop. Can you see me? 'Cause I can't see a thing. Stay wild. That would do. Can't bother anymore.